Okay, and this week we're going to be talking about what makes an early civilization. And really, we're going to discuss what makes civilization as we know it. Your textbook talks about cities and government. Tomorrow, when you come into class, you're going to take that information not only from your textbook, but also what you learn from the Discovery Ed Tech book to look at how cities and government play out to make early civilization. Also, social classes, or what's called the social hierarchy. We'll look at that. We'll also look at written languages, art, and architecture that goes along with that, and religious groups. How do religious groups help shape civilization? Many of you are already gurus on how to build a civilization. What we'll be working on tomorrow and Wednesday in class is actually you putting on paper how a civilization would be constructed. Now, I wish it was a little bit more interactive like Minecraft, but for those of you that do actively play Minecraft, you have a good idea what kind of those steps were to build your civilization. For tomorrow, there will be some creative thought, some collaborative thought amongst everybody at your table on how to put together the civilization that you wish to have. And as we dive into that, I have a Minecraft challenge for those of you that are Minecraft fans. Bring in some evidence of your Minecraft world. Print a picture, bring it to your group so you can kind of show what you did or explain how you did. Bring in, or you can email it to me at calayton at ortn.edu. Who knows, maybe I'll use your world as an example. All right, so using the tech book, and the reason I'm filming the tech book is because we'll be using the McGraw-Hill textbook all week in class, so you'll have access to it daily. But I'd recommend that you log on to ortn.discoveryeducation.com in order to use the tech book some to learn about these different parts of civilization, including social classes. It does a great job of explaining, and we'll be discussing how different civilizations rated people in the social classes. For example, civil and religious leaders were at the top of this pyramid. Educated workers, like physicians, merchants and artisans, unpaid laborers, and farmers. Here's the challenge question for you. Do we have social classes today in our world? And if so, if you were to draw a social class pyramid, would it look similar to this? Would it be different? How so? That may be a challenge we look at either on Tuesday or Wednesday in class. We had the discussion today about a world without government. So, what are the roles of cities and central governments in a civilization? Why do we need government? Why do we need rules and laws to go with government? A good question for you to look at and kind of discuss tomorrow as your group begins to build your civilization. It's not just going to be about putting it on the big piece of paper, the drawing part of your civilization and explaining where you would put different things in your civilization, but rather we're also going to have some written work to show that you know and you understand the key components to a good civilization. The tech book adds with art, architecture. We still have a lot of great architecture that was inspired by many ancient civilizations. A lot of Washington, D.C. has a lot of Greek and Roman influence into the architecture. In fact, several things throughout the United States have Greek and Roman influence into our architecture. As for art, a lot of culture that we still have to this day is influenced by ancient civilizations. So you're going to learn a little bit about how that would have worked. Take a minute to study this picture. This would be an example of an early civilization or a prehistoric settlement in France. Obviously, this would be a secondary source as we don't have an actual painting from someone of that time period, but rather this is a best interpretation of what we think that time period would have looked like. So when we talk about early civilization, one of the key topics we want to focus on this week is how these people lived in early civilizations. And of course, religion and writing were also key influences for the people of early civilizations. Religions were often or polytheistic of early civilization, meaning they had multiple gods. Religions also were centered around weather patterns often. If there was a great drought, there was something that the people had not done right or well, and the gods were punishing them. If there was a great harvest, it was because the people were doing things right and they were being rewarded. Uh, Writing, in addition, was a form of communication that developed from cave drawings into written languages, which we now keep and maintain, so we're able to navigate to the past to see what they were saying. What was their record keeping? You're going to talk about how your civilization you're going to create would keep records as well. For your civilization, we're also going to talk about the significance of geography. One of the first civilizations that we will talk about rises from Mesopotamia. And as we study Mesopotamia, one thing that we will identify of Mesopotamia is the significance of water resources. The Egyptians, for example, they're in the middle of a desert, but the Egyptian society is built around the Nile River. Still to this day, the overwhelming majority of Egyptians live near the Nile River. To what we now know as the Middle East, including parts of Saudi Arabia, parts of Iraq, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Syria, Jordan, Israel. This entire area that you see is what's known as Mesopotamia. We'll be talking about Mesopotamia a little bit later on in the week. This area, known as the Fertile Crescent, where the Tigris and the Euphrates River run, in the middle of the desert, the water resource was huge. So we're going to talk about how geography plays into the location of your civilization as well. And to end things today, just a kind of a look of what we have going on this week, we're going to analyze the needs for a civilization, and you're going to actually build a civilization Tuesday and part of Wednesday here in class. We're going to discuss the rise of civilizations in the area known as Mesopotamia, which we just looked at a second ago, and we're also going to start previewing who were the Sumerians and how did they rise up in the or how did their civilization rise up in world history.